G'day guys, welcome to another Hang Loose Recluse production. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about this article in the Daily Mail. They're trying to counteract the reasons why Australians are dying from fatal heart attacks spiked by 17% last year, as mainstream media experts offer reasons for the frightening rise. Deaths from fatal heart attacks jumped 17%. Doctors have blamed COVID and impacts of lockdowns. Meet Dr. Baffled. Dr. Baffled can't understand why so many people suddenly have rare conditions or why children are having heart attacks. He's completely baffled. GPs have urged Aussies to book a heart check. Let's read the article. More Australians than ever are dying from fatal heart attacks due to the lingering effects of COVID pandemic and the impact of the virus on the heart. Now, this is the counteraction story. Mainstream media obviously colludes with Big Pharma and all that sort of stuff, but check out this next line. Up to 10,200 Aussies died of ischemic heart disease in the first 8 months of 2022. Notice that, in the first 8 months of 2022, not 2021, marking a 17% increase over what would be expected in a normal year. Notice that 17 goes with the excess mortality rate. 17%. Now think about that. Up to 10,200 Aussies died of heart disease in the first 8 months of 2022. Now what did they roll out at the end of 2021 in order for you to keep your job? What did they force a lot of Australians to go out and get in order to keep their job? Is it any wonder that the first 8 months of 2022 marked a 17% increase over what would be expected in a normal year for deaths of Australians? Anyway, doctors say the effects of the pandemic increase pre-existing risk factors, with some people having a heightened risk of disease after recovering from the virus. While heart disease has been a leading cause of deaths for several years, experts say lockdowns meant many patients presented much later with progressive symptoms. Now, they're trying to justify, while heart disease has been a leading cause of deaths for several years. In other words, nothing to see here, guys. It's normal. It's just part of life. It's not part of what was brought on at the beginning of 2022 in order for you to keep your job, of course. They're never going to admit that. Anyway, experts, well, we'll say mainstream media selected experts, haven't had to look far to find links between coronavirus and cardiovascular issues, with one study finding hospitalizations had ballooned after the pandemic. After the pandemic, or after the forced coercion that might have happened in the country of Australia in order for people to keep their jobs. I'm sure you know deep down what I mean. More than 22,000 Aussies died of blah blah blah. You can see it for yourself. Anyway, the study published in the Medical Journal of Australia found that hospitalizations of people with myocarditis and pericarditis, pulmonary embolism, heart attacks and stroke were significantly more frequent after COVID. Hang on, why is it after COVID? It's not after the forced coercion in order for people to keep their job, including the journalist that wrote this story? He had to go and get them, so he has to justify that he did the right thing. Get this, try and work that out. They unbelievably found that hospitalizations of people with myocarditis and pericarditis, two totally rare conditions prior to certain things you had to do to go and get to keep your job. Anyway, the estimated risk of myocarditis or pericarditis after SARS-CoV-2 infection is 18 to 21 times as high as for uninfected people, the study stated. Well, then why is it? How do you explain the fact that it's happening so much in the people that went and got those things they had to force you to get in order to keep your job, but it's not really happening in people who might have got COVID but didn't go out and get those forced injections? Try and explain that to me, people. Try and explain that. Someone please explain it. But, we are on a censored media format here, so, you probably won't be allowed to. Anyway, myocarditis relates to the inflammation of the heart muscle, while pericarditis is the swelling of the thin sac-like tissue surrounding the heart. Similarly, the risk of acute myocardial infarction is 3 to 6 times that of whatever it is, 3 to 10 times. Yep, all trying to justify the cause without trying to say that possibly, could there be links, or asking the question, could there be links to the things that forced people go and get these certain things, medical experiments, in order to keep their job? The study also found that the vaccination can reduce the risk of, trying to justify. Yes, in other words, look at this. The point here is the vaccination can reduce the risk of non-respiratory complications of COVID, including all this. So they're basically saying, no, if you get it, you'll be okay. It's going to reduce your risks. Totally going to reduce your risks. Ask yourself, what are the increased risks? All justification articles written by the mainstream media, which is obviously in the best interests of the GOV and the big pharma companies. It's unbelievable. Cardiologists say the impact of the virus on the hospital system also saw a number of patients presenting in the late stage of disease. They've got all this planned and ready. When the pericarditis and myocarditis happens, we'll say that it's because of the C-19. But ask the question, is it happening to the people who said no to experiment in order to keep their jobs? Ask that question, people. Why aren't the media asking that question? Why don't they do a study on the people who went out and got it and the people that didn't go and get it, and come back and compare the difference. Obviously they can't, because they won't, because they know the truth will come out. Anyway, so it's not just a lot of people that die, but we're seeing a lot of people at a whole range of different stages of heart disease, he said. One of our concerns early on in COVID was that we were going to miss people early, and then people would tend to present later. Australia has recorded an uptick in serious heart problems, with rates of heart attacks and strokes higher in people who have recovered from the virus compared to those who have never been infected. Never been infected? Or does that mean never been injected? Well, why don't you also check out the stats on, like I said earlier, about the people that might have had to go and get those things in order to keep their job, and those that didn't. Can we see some comparisons of those? Obviously not mainstream media. Who are you funded by? You know who... Oh, I might be having a Metal Kill episode. I just coughed. Anyway, who are you funded by? Who supports your industry? Anyway, some of the biggest contributors to heart disease is high cholesterol, smoking, obesity, and high blood pressure, as well as family history. And every family had heaps of history of myocarditis and pericarditis prior to 2022, didn't they? Yeah, of course. And we all know what happened at the end of 2021. I'll say it again. Anyway, as fatality rates continue to climb, doctors have urged Australians to get their hearts checked after the number of appointments dipped during the lockdowns. Anyway, this has been another Hang Loose Recluse production, trying to bring the mainstream media and hold them accountable for the counteractive stories that they come up with to go along with the fact that it might be something else, and they can never question, could it be something that everybody was forced to go out and get? Could it be? Who knows? You be the judge. Anyway, this has been a Hang Loose Recluse, mainstream media examining production. Thank you.